Before we jump into the nuts and bolts of today's episode, just a random off-the-wall question. Will the Falcons win a playoff game? I'm not going to say it's a guarantee they make the playoffs, but that's definitely the expectation after the contract given out to Kirk Cousins. So I'll take it one step further. Will they win a playoff game? I think they will. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Let's talk about a wild, to say the least. And we do come across some wild news, rumors, and trade ideas on today's show. This one might be a Mount Rushmore trade idea. So it came from Bleacher Report that put out these wild 3-team trades, which producer Trace, when we were getting ready for today's show, asked me, Trivia, do you know the last 3-team trade? And I really couldn't think of one. And I'm not even convinced that there has ever been a 3-team trade in the NFL before. So someone can fact check me on that. But I think Bleacher Report just has like the NBA brain on right now of NBA offseason. 3-team trades happen all the time. Let's apply that to NFL. So here was the Bleacher Report 3-team trade idea, which had Matthew Judon, the Patriots edge rusher, going to Atlanta, someone we have talked about before on the channel, the Patriots getting Brandon Aiyuk, and the 49ers coming away with Mike Hughes, a first-round draft pick from New England, and a third-round draft pick from Atlanta. I don't see a world where the 49ers move on from Brandon Aiyuk when they are trying so hard to win right now, and all they walk away with is a backup corner, a first-round draft pick, which could be very valuable. I don't think the Patriots can be very good this year, and then a third-round pick from the Falcons. I don't see a world where the 49ers trade Brandon Aiyuk and do not get a wide receiver in return. But that's for the 49ers to discuss. Let's look at this through the Falcons lens, because this is basically trading Mike Hughes and a third-round draft pick away for Matthew Judon and splitting up your assets over 2 different teams. So Hughes and a third for Matthew Judon. It doesn't look like a lot because it's not a ton for a player that just 2 years ago had 15.5 sacks. Before that, 12.5 sacks and what would be a run of 4 straight Pro Bowl appearances. But unfortunately, last year, Judon had a season cut short due to injury, only played 4 games. But, man, was he efficient in those 4 games. 4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. In fact, if Matthew Judon doesn't appear to be like a household pass rusher name to you, I'm not going to say shame on you because he really isn't at that tier of like TJ Watt and Myles Garrett, but he's not far off. If you look at the NFL sack leaders from 2019 to 2020, his best stretch in the NFL, he finished 5th in total sacks with 43.5. Actually finished tied for 4th with Aaron Donald and only half a sack behind Cameron Jordan. So, yeah, he's still 10-plus sacks behind Garrett and TJ Watt, but you're not getting any caliber player of one of those 2 guys in a trade. But to get someone with 43.5 sacks in a 4-year stretch that's not very long ago, that's pretty appetizing for a team that needs a lot of help at the pass rusher position. I would do Matthew Judon for a 4th-round draft pick. Now, I'm not trying to be a penny pincher here, and Judon would definitely be a big, I would say necessarily improvement. Actually, I would say an improvement to the pre-existing pass rushing room. It'd be a big lift to the room. That's a better cliche to use. Now, when it comes to the finances for Matthew Judon, he's entering the last year of a 4-year contract he signed with the Patriots. He had like a hold in during minicamp as he looks to get extended. Now, the last year of his contract looks as follows. He's got a $14.6 million cap hit for New England, $10.2 million dead cap, which is money that the Patriots would have devoted to their cap space for a player not on their roster. The Patriots would save a little under $7 million, but the base salary is really the only number that Falcons fans need to look at because the base salary is usually what you take on in a trade. And any bonuses that haven't been paid out yet, you'd also take on, but a lot of time those bonuses are already paid out when the new league year starts in March. So for the Falcons, it's really taking on a guy with a $6.5 million contract for 1 season, which isn't going to put them in a bind for their salary cap space. So financially, it can very well be done. Now, Mike Hughes, I don't think is some household corner that the Falcons cannot part ways with. But when you look at the cornerback room for Atlanta, it's skinny. Like, there's not a lot of depth here. And I'm not going to say that Mike Hughes should stand in the way of getting a player who had 16 and a half sacks 2 years ago for a pass rush that the highest returning sack player on the roster is at 6. But I do think it is worth at least acknowledging, moving on from Mike Hughes, and if something happens to Terrell or Clark Phillips or D. Alford, your backups are Antonio Hamilton and who? Like, just players you and I had never heard of. That's not going to put you in a good spot. That's going to be really tough. You will be in a major bind, and you are on thin ice if you move on from Mike Hughes or D. Alford or anyone else in this cornerback room. Now, is Mike Hughes a world-class corner? No. 21 tackles a season ago, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup. But he is a really good, solid backup corner if that's his floor. And he's got starting capabilities. He has started a handful of games in the NFL, over 20, I think, from his time with the Vikings all the way to the present day with Atlanta. So I'm not necessarily rushing to trade Mike Hughes away just to get a player. Like, you should really consider how thin the cornerback room is and the fact that they did not draft a single player at that position. It's going to make you think twice about trading a single corner away. Now, as for the draft pick, it actually would be a little bit of a blow because you lost your 5th-round draft pick due to the tampering with Kirk Cousins. The 6th-round draft pick went to the Eagles, if I recall correctly, for Kentavious Street. So if you lose your 3rd, you've got 4 draft picks for next year's draft, a 1st, a 2nd, a 4th, and a 7th. So 4 picks, sure, you can add some more with some trades, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of ammunition going into next year's draft. And GMs like their picks, right? That's what they do to prove their worth, is they draft great players. And if you don't give them bullets in the chamber, they don't have a target to shoot at. Now, as we circle back to this trade idea from Bleacher Report, after listening to my last few minutes of analysis and breakdown of the idea, would you accept this trade? Falcons get Matthew Judon, and they lose a 3rd and cornerback Mike Hughes. Give me an A for accept or give me a D for decline down below in the comment section. Personally, as much as Switzerland I've done for the last few minutes, I'd accept this trade. Matthew Judon is just too good of a pass rusher to pass on for a team that's looking to win right now and needs a lot of help at the pass rushing position. Do I like the idea of moving on from Mike Hughes? No. And that's because there's just not a lot of depth there. But you could find another cornerback in free agency, and you could make do. I think if that was truly a trade that was on my desk, I don't think I'd decline it. I think I would ultimately accept it if I'm being honest with everyone. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's show and talk more about this and some other topics, lock yourself in for the upcoming season here at Falcons Today. Help us reach 22,400 subscribers. If you have not subscribed yet and you're looking for a free Falcons YouTube channel, hit the sub button down below. We're going to keep you guys entertained and informed all year long. So, as I was saying, I would do the trade for Matthew Judon because ask yourself this question. What defense do you like more? This current front 5 as it is, and then the current 3 corners, or no Mike Hughes, and it's Ebiketie, Harrison, Onyemata, Grady Jarrett, and Matthew Judon. I'm personally going to go with the latter. Now, if they don't bring on Matthew Judon, I wouldn't say it's the end of the world, but it's definitely going to be a bit of a scary world because we don't really know what to expect out of the pass rushing unit, right? You hope Arnold Ebiketie can take a big step forward going into his next year in the NFL with a real starting role. Well, not that he didn't have one last year, but, Bud Dupree, Calais Campbell gone. He's kind of the true number 1 edge rusher on this team now. Lorenzo Carter somewhat regressed in year 2 with the Falcons. Zach Harrison finished the year strong last season, but I'm just not in a spot where I can put all my chips in his breakout sophomore campaign. And then the only real addition they made was 3rd-round draft pick Braylon Trice, who they took out of Washington. Last year for the Huskies, 11.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 80 pressures. He was one of the most productive pass rushers in college football the last 2 seasons. But, keywords, college football. I caution people watching to think that a 3rd-round edge is going to make a huge impact their rookie season. And as it currently stands, the Falcons need Braylon Trice to make an impact their rookie year. They are not in a spot where they can let him sit and develop like other teams. No. And history says that's not a very good bet to make. I looked back at the last 5 years of drafts from 2019 to present and all the edge rushers taken in round 3 and their sacks in their rookie season. Zach Harrison, one of the best of the bunch, with 3. Myjai Sanders, who's also a free agent right now for the Cardinals in 2022, he had 3 sacks. Yaya Diaby last year for the Buccaneers, he had 7.5. That was the best by a mile. And there's some good players here. Jonathan Grenard, Alex Highsmith, Zach Allen. Alex Wright last year had 4 or 5 sacks. This is not a good bet to make. Like, there's 10 names on screen here, and you want to get 4 sacks from Braylon Trice? That's a 10% chance of happening based on the last 5 years of drafts. So I'm not in a spot where I feel like, yep, we can just fully trust that Braylon Trice can come through in the clutch his rookie season and bring a lot of production. They don't need to trade or add another pass rusher. No, I don't think that's a safe and wise bet to make. Now, it's June. We are a long ways away from football really getting underway because it doesn't even come back when preseason gets here. Don't fall for that bullshit. Football is back Thursday night, week 1, when it's the Ravens and the Chiefs throwing down at Arrowhead. So as we sit here and talk in June, it feels so far away. It's out of sight, out of mind. But I think that this is something that we'll look back on when the season rolls around. And if the defense is underwhelming and it's leading to losses, we can kind of pinpoint, oh, yeah, they probably should have made some bigger investments on the defensive side of the football and not just banked on a couple of rounds 2 through 4 draft picks and coaching from Raheem Morris to bring this defense up. And I say that because if you're going to go all in, which signing Kirk Cousins to a $180 million contract kind of signals you're ready to win right now, don't half-ass it. And that's literally what they've kind of done here. They've half-assed it. They did the offensive half, and they didn't do the defensive half. All right, trivia here before we get on with the rest of our days. Since 2010, which edge rusher received the largest free agency contract from the Falcons? Let me know in the comment section. We're going to reveal the answer in just a second. So if you want, pause the video right now, think about it, screenshot it, send it to your friend, your group chat. But since 2010, which edge rusher received the largest contract in free agency from the Falcons? Drum roll, please. It is Dante Fowler. Signed that 3-year, $45 million contract. That $45 million contract, by the way, right over here, one of the largest contracts given out in Falcons free agency since 2010. Obviously, recent ones like Kirk Cousins and, nope, Darnell Mooney's not even at $45 million. Tops it. But Dante Fowler, the fact that $45 million over 3 years is the most the Falcons have spent on a position that has plagued the franchise since its inception is kind of pathetic.